Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters, and welcome to our review of Terrifier. Okay, this is a weird one. So, God, I don't know when I first caught wind of this franchise or this character, I should say. I want to say it was a couple years ago. People started kind of discovering his movies. I think maybe one of them was on Netflix for a little while there.
I was about to ask that because I think I remembered seeing the Art the Clown like sitting at the diner table. You
Hmm.
know how Netflix always things you might like or whatever. I specifically remember seeing him there, and I what kept as I was watching this, I kept thinking, wasn't this on Netflix at one point? So now you just confirmed it. Done.
Yeah, I think that's where it was too, and it was definitely Tubi is where its home is now. But
Yes.
it is one of those things where it's just like I kind of passed over this when it came out. It wasn't something that I really thought that it was anything of note, I guess you should say. Am I saying that I'm too good for it? Absolutely not. But I'm just saying that even though I do like some lower end stuff, it just kind of didn't really catch me anything. I wasn't trying to watch this. I wasn't interested, I guess is the easiest way I could put it. And I don't know. I don't know what it was that really put me off from it. So I never checked it out. And now, like an idiot, Art the Clown is pretty big in the horror community. Like it's not like icon status or anything, but he is a known figure, and people are really liking his shit so much that he's got a sequel coming out. And we are going to go check that sequel out. So obviously, we need to watch the first film. So I guess with all that said, Luke, how are we feeling about Terrifier?
Well, I was aware of Terrifier and kind of the discourse around Terrifier, and I think maybe that's why I stayed right away from it for so long. So then when you're like, "Hey, let's go see the sequel," and we had to watch the original, I was a little hesitant going into this, and I gotta say, Terrifier definitely has some diehard fans out there, but unfortunately, I am not one of them.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. This movie is a little out of my wavelength, I would say.
Yeah.
And that's me being kind. I personally I think that, it's not necessarily that it's a cheap looking movie. Like, and that's not the issue for me because I watch all kinds of stuff, like all different ranges of budgets and things like that, and can find enjoyment in it. I think personally for me, where this movie loses me is like I think that the character's cool. I think that he's got a cool look and everything. I can give that high praise, but I really don't think that there's a lot going on story wise in this movie.
And I don't
And
think it's meant to be honest.
no,
That's where my problem was in terms of kind of reviewing this. I look for story. That's just what I do, and that's why I don't think this film is for me. Where there isn't really a story here. I think it's more so a showcase of kind
mm,
of blood and guts for the most part here. So it's just kind of almost like a running kind of I don't want to say anthology, but kind of like that where we're introducing a character, they get killed, and now we're introducing another character and they get killed in a different way than the previous. So I really think that's what they were trying to accomplish with this film. It's just kind of one of those things for me where this isn't for me. I need a story, I need that background, I need that pacing instead of kind of just diving right into it and then someone dies and then we just move on to the next one.
I agree. And I always put this akin to, because I always talk about how I watch creature features and like I will watch bottom of the barrel stuff where it's just like monsters eating people and things. But like, even for me, some of my favorite parts of those movies are the lead up to it. I like the building of tension. And we're kind of getting introduced to our characters and we're setting the stage a little bit. It's like with Jaws, it's like I love getting to know the town, getting to know our characters, everything. So that's essential to me, even in shit where I'm just wanting to see creatures and, killers and stuff rip people apart. It always comes first. And I think that this one really lacks any kind of a narrative flow. I think you're right. It's more a showcase. And to those who are into that kind of thing, I totally get it. Like, I mean, this is very much this isn't a hard movie to commit to. really. I would say is the best way I can put it. You don't have to sit down and, be invested in anything. You are just simply there to watch Art the Clown chop people up in all these various gruesome, interesting ways. And for that, I will say, if you're a gore hound, this is for you, because this is a gory ass fucking movie. And I think the gore is pretty cool. Like, I think there are some really creative, interesting, kills in it. But unfortunately, with nothing to back it up, I can't really sit there and say that I'd probably watch it again.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at with it as well. I'm glad I know more about it now, but I don't think this is going to be, in my rotation ever of actually, watching this again or multiple times. This one just, again, I need a narrative story here. I'm intrigued by the sequel, just to see kind of what they do. I'm thinking maybe I think I read a little bit about it, and it seems like maybe there's an actual story there. I look at Art the Clown, and it's like I think the design is really cool. I really think this would have been an interesting kind of, even if it kind of took an even bigger hit on the budget just because of things you had to do in terms of kind of storytelling. Maybe you wouldn't have as many kills, but to kind of set Art the Clown in more so a Haddonfield. There's something, kind of like that element of he's a clown, so maybe there's a kid there, and he's kind of maybe terrorizing. I always think of these things of how scary Art the Clown would be if you're a kid about to close your curtains for the night in the second story, and you look down and Art the Clown is in your yard, looking up at you. I think that would be some of the most terrifying visuals that you could come up with. So I really hope that they kind of take advantage of this character, because I would like to see him kind of in a bigger narrative story.
Yeah, I think if you really flush him out and give him a decent backstory, and I'm not saying that you have to give him like the most elaborate backstory or anything. I mean,
Yeah.
it could be really simplistic stuff, but give it more time to build that tension. Give us more characters to care about that we can start kind of seeing when he does these heinous things. Like, it can kind of really back us up and make us a little bit more like, oh God, like I don't want to see this happen to these people I like and stuff like that. So it's like that's where I primarily would say that I sit with my biggest issues here. But again, this is through and through. We can't deny a cult film. I mean, like,
Oh,
this is
absolutely.
being, shepherded by the people who are absolute diehard fans of it. And I'm not here to sit here and say like you're wrong for liking it. Like, I think that
Oh
it's,
no, not
if
at
you
all.
do, you do. I mean, like, I can't sit here and rip that down. So that's why this is kind of hard, because it's like it's not for us, is easy to say, but I think I understand why it is for people. But again, like you said, with the second one kind of having more story, I'm more intrigued by that. I think if
Yeah.
we can flush him out a little bit and kind of give him a little more, I could see myself enjoying Art the Clown and a little bit more of what's going on with him. I think that the ending that this kind of presents was actually an interesting idea. It's almost taking like what we kind of associate with like a Jason or a Michael Myers and kind of their undying nature, but just like instead of leaving it to be assumed or just kind of like we don't get it, like we kind of see how the fudge is made in a sense. You know what I mean? You kind of get to see him go through that little exorcism bit to come back to life. It's just there is nuggets of greatness in this little concept of a film, but I just don't think that this version of it is for me, I guess, is
Yeah.
the easiest way I could say it.
And I understand the appeal here. Like you said, if you're a gore hound, this is absolutely for you. The gore here is well done. So if that's what you're looking for, this is absolutely right up your alley. If you want a more narrative story, this isn't for you. But again, going back to the creators, the filmmaker in general, I respect what they're doing here, because I don't think if that sequel, what is it? It's 2.5 hours, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and from what it sounds like, there's more of a narrative story there. So I honestly, I believe Terrifier, the original here, was a means to an end. What he was a character featured in an anthology series, and then we moved up to an hour 20 of kind of a gore fest, but a feature length film. And now I believe that maybe Terrifier 2 will actually have some sort of narrative story behind it. So it's kind of like this gradual progression of how do we get this character on screen. And I mean, we know, yes, this is a showcase of kills, but how hard is that to do in terms of filmmaking? We've made our short films, and even a very small segment of something we wanted to do turned out to be a marathon of trying to get it done within a few days. So it's like there is definitely some filmmaking here. It just isn't the kind of filmmaking that we're used to. So
Mhm.
I respect the filmmakers for what they attempted to do, and I think they actually achieved. I mean, looking at it, we're going to a Fathom event in Beechwood to see the sequel, so obviously they have something going on here. It just is. I'm curious to see what they're going to do next. They have the eyes on them. I'm really hoping they show out for that sequel.
I agree. But yeah, I mean that's probably all we can say on Terrifier. I think that honestly, if you had to get my recommendation for it, I would say go in cautious, know what you're getting into, and just understand that again, the perfect wording for this is it's a showcase. So it's like you're not going to get the deepest story, you're not going to get any characters that are noteworthy or even all that interesting. I would say, but you are going to get at least a sense for what these filmmakers could do if they have the resources. And again, that's what I'm hoping that Terrifier 2 will just be the further evolution, like you said.
Yeah,
So yeah, I would say go in cautious, know what you're getting into. And if you're a gore hound, then absolutely check out Terrifier. But if you're not, maybe hold off a bit and see what the sequel has to bring and maybe jump in there. So who knows?
yeah.
Um,
There's definitely glimmers of intrigue here with this film, and in search of the next big horror icon. Art the Clown's got some chops, I would say.
mm,
So I'm intrigued to see where they go with it. Is this for me? No. So it's hard for me to give a recommendation, but even if you aren't a gorehound, I think maybe there is a place for. I think this is such a divisive film where it's hard to really gauge of what someone's going to feel about it, because the people that love this film really love it,
oh
and I
yeah.
think there are people out there that if it's not for them, they really dislike it. So, but it's hard to see what fence they what side of the fence they fall on. So, for me, it's not for me, but hey, it might be for you. I don't know.
All righty. Well, that's going to wrap us up here for our review of Terrifier. So, if you are interested in our other content we have going on, like we said, we will be seeing Terrifier 2 in just a couple of days here. So, look out for our review for that. Other than that, we have our Hellraiser podcast posted just now, as well as a review for the original Halloween 1978. We are in deep into the Splatterthon at this point, a couple days. And we do have a giveaway going on, so there's a link for that in the description where you could win a copy of the Black Phone, as well as a official Splattercast mug, or Splatterthon mug, I should say. But yeah, if you do want to keep up with us, you can find us at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at SplattercastPod. And other than that, if you think we deserve it and you like the content we're producing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Alrighty, guys. Well, that's it for now. And yeah, in the meantime, I'm Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.